All right, all my little motherfuck faces. You're watching Validation Boy live stream. August 2nd, 2018. Now, I'm trying to get this fuck boy that I met in Tim's show the other day, trying to get him to come in here. I saw him in another live stream Tim did this afternoon. Saw him in there and I said, hey, why don't you go ahead and come on my show directly? And we can hash out all these issues, all these childish problems that you have. You know? Because, like, all right, I met this guy. I didn't even know who he was. I just wanted to go on Tim's live. I didn't even know that someone was going to be on there. It ended up being this guy. And he just started spouting. He was just your run-of-the-mill average fuck, just spouting off shit everybody's heard since they were in kindergarten. Trying to sound cool, trying to sound smart, whatever the fuck he was trying to do. And I just had to butt in and be like, well, you know, there's a whole lot of fucking assumptions there in your little fucking so-called paradigm. And he didn't like it. He started cussing at me, calling me names and shit. His name was Team Skeptic, or Team Septic, as I like to call it. You know, and it's like, okay, so team, I don't know what kind of a team, because it's kind of like, you know how the Unabomber used to say when he was referring to himself, that he called the Freedom Coalition or Freedom Club, whatever the fuck he called it, the FC. He would always say, we want this, we demand that, you know, like little. So it's just one guy saying we. So is that really what Team Skeptic's strategy is? Trying to appear as though he has some team behind him? Nobody cares, bro. What do you got? Some other little fucking yes men that follow you around. And I was thinking about it, you know, didn't that kind of make him like a terrorist? He's acting like the Unabomber acted. So I guess he's just a little terrorist. You know, he's attempting to do his bullying and shit. And he's not even really all that good at it. Okay. He complains during the fucking show. This little fuckboy, he complained during the show that I was using ad hom attacks. Yet his entire stupid ass channel is based on that tired ass fucking, you're a fucking idiot. Bing. You're a fucking idiot. Bing. You're a fucking idiot. Bing. You know, over and over and over and over. You know, it was never funny. First time I saw one of your videos, I just sat there straight-faced. Just straight-faced. I didn't crack a single smile. Your shit is so boring. After I saw what it was, it's like, oh man, I've been seeing this on TV shows and stuff since like the 80s. This is not fucking original. This was never an original idea. The idiot counter. Okay, man. You know, maybe like a fucking 6-year-old, 10-year-old maybe would find it funny. Which makes me think, you know, this guy must be young. I really don't know much about him. But the way he was acting and the way he was so stunted emotionally, and the way he was acting and the fact that he wants to just be a parrot for already established crap and pass it off as if it's, you know, wisdom or gives him any kind of credibility, you know, just give me a break, all right? He complained about the fucking ad hom attacks. His shit was never funny or original, okay? He's quick to point out the physical flaws, like point out someone's tattoo on their face, shit like that, or like whatever shit, and completely hides his own fucking face. I mean, come on, guys. People really take someone like that seriously? You can't even take someone like that seriously. But anyways, you know, it might be one of two things. Either one, he's a fucking little, you know, 4'8" fucking effeminate looking little fucking shrimp dick, fucking incel. Okay, that could be reason number one. Or he's reading while debating with someone, he's reading from a fucking, like an auto response checklist, and he doesn't want to be seen. He doesn't want to be exposed as not being as witty as he wants to appear, wants to sound, That could be the other reason. It could be a little bit of both. It honestly could be a little bit of both. But, we're starting to see you. We're starting to see you, Team Skeptic. We're starting to see through you. We're all out here. We know. I'm just letting the people know what they need to look out for. It's all the familiar things. We've seen it on all kinds of you fucking run-of-the-mill Johnny-come-lately fuckboys that come through and, like, try to act like you're something special. And you get all your fucking fake fucking... All right, anyways. Yeah, he's basically just a fucking parrot. He's a parrot. There's zero original fucking content. There's zero original thoughts. While we were debating, the guy had zero original thoughts of his own. Zero fucking... He had no original thoughts of his own. Everything that this guy relied on, he learned from somebody else, from a book. He has no imagination. How fucking stale is that? I can't believe people actually watch people like that. I guess, I don't know. It's all cuckery. It's all mainstream cuckery that he learned from somebody else or from the system. Good luck trying to make fun of my video, The Global Gynocracy, or The Ugliest Truth, or, hijabs oppress men. If you don't see the bigger picture on that stuff, if you don't actually listen to the content all the way through and agree with it 100%, then you're, then wow. You might be one of the people that put a thumbs down on the video then, I guess. All right. So then, during our fight, I played a real cheap shot card. I said that he sounded like Ben Shapiro. Asked him if he was Jewish. He didn't really want to answer, But it's just funny. It's ironic because if this guy is Jewish, which he did sound Jewish, and he has some kind of weird lisp, going on. Also, that might be another reason why he hides his face. But it's possible that he might be Jewish or something like that. Yeah, and I cheap shotted him. It was fucked up. It was a cheap shot. But I'm sure if he is, then I'm sure I'd be willing to almost bet money that he's the kind of guy that would play the Holocaust card, or the Holocaust card, excuse me. So he can, have some victimhood. Because the dude is a snowflake. He is an SJW. He's like running around trying to say that VB is a social justice warrior because I said in the title of my video, hijabs oppress men. See, he didn't even watch the video. He didn't actually listen to the actual content and hear the payoff, if he's saying that. So I don't know. I know he's not even like, taking any of this all too seriously. And neither am I. But I've been denying you guys this live stream that you guys fucking fiend for. You fiend for it. And I've been denying you guys. I've been starving you to death. But I'll come back for this. It's an excuse to go live. And yeah, the chat's disabled because it's a distraction. And a lot of times you guys are demonic and shit. Anyways. All right. This guy thinks that, God owes him a beneficial model. This guy thinks God owes him everything. Of course he'd run and say, oh, I don't even believe in your stupid God. But in the end, he thinks everybody owes him. That's the snowflake mentality of these young kids now. These young immature children like this guy. All right. Now, even if he did discover an actual working model, okay, an actual working model, not this globe bullshit, which we all know doesn't work on many levels, okay? There's too many fucking holes. So if he even did discover an actual working model, he's acting like as if he's going to ever do anything fucking profound with it or with his life at all. Because, bitch, please, you ain't going to do nothing. You ain't doing nothing about nothing. You're just out here looking for attention to just conforming. You're not even presenting people a reason or original content, a reason to fucking actually follow you and subscribe to you to see what you're actually going to say next. That's why people subscribe to me. That's why I have an honest 1,000 subscribers. That's taken me a long ass time because it just goes to show how strong my content actually is when people, and how few people are actually ever really ready for it. But anyways, dude spent the whole fucking show talking about irrelevant, beginner ass fucking physics. And there was never any payoff to any of it. It was just talking about third grade physics and shit. Or, first year college, whatever, same thing. Fucking physics, quantum physics, imaginary paper fucking on paper physics and bullshit. Shit that's just in minds and then gets written out and charted with symbols. It's not reality. Okay. And Jed, Skeptic Media, was in the chat saying the same exact thing that I was thinking. So I had to make note of it. I had to say, thumbs up for fucking Jed Skeptic Media for calling that shit out. Talking about double slit. That's like the intro to, books that I've read before. Okay. It's like the intro. It's like mentioned in passing in the intro when you get into the serious shit. But anyways, okay. And that's all of that is, like I said, going back, the dude might be compensating for his shrimp dick. Okay. Might be. This is all speculation, but he might be compensating for his shrimp dick by trying to appear to have a big brain. Okay. Yeah, it looks like he doesn't even have like, a job probably. He's probably just sitting around all day. Yeah, I just had to take notes. Just wanted to tell you guys what's up. He won't come on here. He knows I'll fucking destroy him. I'd love to have him in here, one-on-one. He wouldn't be able to get away with all that dumb shit that Timmy was allowing. We wouldn't stand for it here on Validation Boy live stream. But I told him in the conversation, he'd believe fucking NASA if they said it was flat. He'd then think it was flat. I called him out on that. He denied it, but we all know it's fucking true. So have fun with that one, bro. Let me see here. Yeah. Call me a fucking SJW. I mean, give me a break, dude. He's got probably fake ass subs, right? Fake ass views. And if they are real, it only shows how fucking pathetic fucking normie ass system worshipping followers are drawn to fucking shit like flies. It's not really something to be proud of. It's really not something to be proud of. It's no big deal, bro. Or little guy getting all choked up and stuff. All right. Yeah, quantum mechanics. It might be practical. It might be a practical tool for describing physical reality at its very best. Okay. And at its very best, it's only practical or usable or applicable in the micro. Okay. This fucking guy likes to he likes to make this huge fucking jump and say that because it works in the micro, it obviously must work in the macro. And then to validate that, CGI fucking planets and stuff. Like all his videos, he's like, "You're a fucking idiot." And then he shows a fucking CGI globe while he's saying that. The fucking cognitive dissonance is fucking off the charts. Team Skeptic. I'm surprised nobody has said this stuff to you before. I can't tell if you're more of a cuckold or more of a fucking incel. I can't really tell. But anyways. Yeah, looks like he has no job and mommy's paying them bills. I already said that. Yeah. Yeah. So that's all I want to say about that. So hopefully he can get in touch with somebody because I got a couple things I want to ask him. And I'd be respectful. I'd be respectful if he wanted to come in. But I do have a couple things I want to ask him. See if he has the guts to show up. In the meantime, I'm going to take 5 and I'll be right back. Have fun in the chat. All right, all my little motherfuck faces. I'm back. I'm back. And like I said, I'm done talking about that bullshit from earlier. I doubt dude will even decide to make a video about me. Because who fucking cares anyways? But anyways, I decided that now would be a perfect time for me to do something I've been wanting to do for a long time. But it was never appropriate. I've always like teased it and talked about it. But it's nothing really spectacular. And it might even dwindle my viewership down to unthinkably low numbers. You know? It might do that with ease. But it doesn't really matter. Something that I like to talk about, think about. And it's crazy that I've had the experience that I've had in this way. Something that you would never really think of. But right place, right time kind of thing. I want to talk to you guys. Earlier this week, I posted the entrance theme song for Big Van Vader from the 80s in pro wrestling. Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about pro wrestling. Oh yeah, so he died. So rest in peace, Vader. And I love his theme song. So I posted it as my community post for the day. And what better time than to tell you guys all the crazy stories of how I've accidentally met or, been at shows and met pro wrestlers, like big time pro wrestlers. Let me tell you some stories. It's fucking story time, okay? So sit back, relax. You're going to hear stories about all the times I met all these people. Wow. Wow. Hold on a second. Yeah. Crazy stories. Not really that crazy, but very, noteworthy. Let me start off at the top of the list with one of the more famous ones. One of the more famous ones of all time currently. Randy Orton. I was chilling. I was a couple weeks into some new job I had. And yeah, it was a form of fast food, but it was several years ago. And I was at the counter trying to take the order. Well, I was at the counter and my manager was there. And she was working on something and I was working on something. And she didn't know anything about who this pro wrestler was. Okay, so the store is basically empty and we're just cleaning and whatever. And then a, a blacked out fucking SUV rolls up on this curb, takes over like basically the public entrance. It's a very accessible, cheap ass parking lot that this place was in, and takes over the public entrance of this huge black SUV, black murdered out. Cannot see, 0% tinting and stuff, 5% tint, whatever. And out pops some fucking little dude with a fucking earpiece, and then right behind him, Randy fucking Orton pops out, and he fucking barges up through the door, and there's just one dude, one customer just randomly sitting in the store, and he's just minding his own business, watching his thing, eating, watching his tablet or his cell phone or something with earphones on. He didn't even see any of this happen. And Randy comes barging in and he stands right in the front and he takes the order. And I didn't want to be, at this point, the guy was a multi-time WWE world champion and shit like that. He's a hugely famous multi-millionaire, WrestleMania main event, mega star of pro wrestling. Like when he retires, he's one of the wrestlers that'll immediately get into a Hall of Fame. Like the moment he retires, he might not even have to retire before he's in the Hall of Fame, honestly. And at the time, he was playing the heel character. At the time, he was a bad guy on TV, and so he was staying in character, I guess. And he ordered one thing, and I started putting it in wrong, and the manager overheard and was like, you meant to do this. And I was like, oh yeah, shit. And Randy was fucking highly disgruntled and shit. And just so that everything was cool, because who would want that? You know, if you're like a big time celebrity and you know that the person who you're having to deal with right now knows exactly who you are and shit, you know. And usually in that situation, people are like, oh, let me get an autograph. Oh, let me get a picture, get a selfie. And I wanted nothing to do with any of that crap because I respect the art more than the artists that are part of the art when it comes to professional wrestling. The art itself, that which has been established, you know, it's the sport of kings. And you can inject any performer in there. But the sport itself, the fact that it stays alive, that to me, and I know this sounds ridiculous. I know it sounds ridiculous because a lot of you guys think I'm some hugely intelligent guy or whatever. But to me, pro wrestling, for some reason, I guess it's a guy thing. I don't know. I feel like it's as if it's the ultimate, you know, it's like the pinnacle of entertainment, of pop entertainment, pop culture. You know, it's basically the fucking Coliseum, the Roman Coliseum, modern day. And I still think it's like the best because it brings people together and for this thing. I don't know. It really matters, even though it's all fixed and everything and arranged. The way that it's arranged, the way that it's booked, as they say, that in itself is a huge art that is to be appreciated and to absorb yourself in. And so when you start becoming a lifelong fan of this episodic serial um, exhibition of athletic talent, and you watch it for years and years and years, and you know exactly who all the people in it are, um, you expect certain wrestlers to be given certain amount of respect, you know, from the company they're working for, or from the other wrestlers, or from the fans. You expect it because it's only the right thing, and the culture of professional wrestling is like that. The culture of professional wrestling is very positive and inclusive, but it also rewards. Um, it also rewards the attributes that make a man a man in some ways. Not all of the things that make a man a man, but in many of the things that do. And I feel as though socially, it's a great tool for the young men of Western civilization to witness, especially if you go in the long term, because then the stats mean something. And you know, like, well, you know, this great legend of this craft worked from this year to this year and established this style, whatever, you know, it's something that can be appreciated, you know. There's so much more depth to it than a lot of people realize. And when people win matches and stuff on big shows that are advertised, you know, on mainstream TV and stuff, these are life apex goals for these people. And it's no joke, the training that it takes to be in MMA or to be in pro wrestling. You know, you got to admire these people. You got to admire these people that they put their bodies out there to be destroyed like that, or they put themselves at risk, you know. But what they do brings memories that last forever when it's done right. And what's better than that? What's more of a draw for an artist than something like that? You know, it's the sport of kings. But anyways, okay. So there's another guy. Well, there's plenty. There's a lot of fucking people on this list. So you can bear with me or not. I don't really care. But this is the perfect time to do it. No live stream chat and the fucking viewership. The truth is fucking revealed. The truth is fucking revealed. It's a night of revelations. So even though I originally started the show going after Team Skeptic, Team Septic, you know? It's been something that's much bigger than that because I'm getting to do this whole thing. And now the truth is also revealed about Validation Boy's actual viewership. Very, very interesting, very humbling, which I appreciate. I appreciate. You don't even know. So, anyways, let's talk about Norman fucking Smiley. Norman Smiley. This guy was like a mid card and sometimes main event featured wrestler who was very comical, but very, very hardworking and took plenty of punishment and dished out plenty of punishment and had a gimmick that was just plain happy. There was something really special about him, though. He was very fucking talented, you know, and I met him in that same place. And the thing is that WWE brought in a developmental center. They brought in their minor league, their farm team, their rookies that they're training to be on TV and be eventual pro wrestlers on Raw or SmackDown and pay-per-views like WrestleMania, SummerSlam, like that. They have to start somewhere. And so instead of having a lot of people start in the indie circuit and then work their way into WWE, they'd rather just take people and develop them from scratch. So they go out and they recruit like guys that have ended their college football career and didn't really necessarily make it to the NFL or had 2 good years in the NFL and had to retire because of a knee injury, or nobody else picked them up because nobody was interested anymore. And then they recruit them and they bring them into wrestling. So they want to train them from scratch so that they have the WWE style of wrestling. It's very, very branded, and it's all about the narcissistic megalomania of the owner of the company. He's a true tyrant demon and shit. Vince McMahon and shit, you know, and he's actually like an actual tyrant who will tell anyone in his entire company at any time exactly how to do every single thing that they're going to do on camera, behind the camera. He'll micromanage every detail, and he reserves the right to do that. And when you sign a contract with him, that's what his power is. He's a complete head of state over his own company, which is great. That's awesome for him. But at the same time, you basically have to sell your soul to work for that company, because getting on that company means that even if you only make it to the small time shows that they have, and you're only, you know, like a low card fucking, you know, loser, basically, you're still going to get so much exposure, even from that you can then take that to the indie circuit and become an independent circuit darling and make yourself a lot of money. And then there's people that started in the training for WWE, had semi-successful careers, and then retired or left the company and then went to work for the indie circuit and have made more money on the independent circuit than they did even with Vince, who pays a lot of fucking money, you know. But, you know, there's TV time, there's exposure, there's the benefits, the health benefits, the some of the other luxuries, the fact that they can keep their families with them and stuff like that. I guess I don't know all the details. It's not really none of my business. But this developmental center helped me end up meeting a lot of these people. Other people I met on my own. All right, but check it out. So then there's another guy named Albert. He was also called A-Train, you know, and I think his name is Matt something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. His gimmick at one point was that he was like a raver, kind of like a raver dude, the fucking with piercings and stuff. And then he became this big tough guy, and he had this infamously hairy back, looked like a huge gorilla on his back, and people would always chant, "Shave your back, shave your back." And it was like this disturbing thing to look at. And he would shave up his shoulders and everything in his arms, but he would leave his whole back as this massive square patch of thick fucking like 2-inch long black curly fucking hair. And You know, he's a huge dude, huge fucking dude. And I was delivering to a fucking vape shop to the people that worked in the store where they sell the e-vape cigarettes. And he came in there with his whole setup and all his fucking devices, and he wanted to buy like, you know, $100 worth of vape stuff, which good for him, you know. And then there was okay, yeah, and then there's this fucking independent promotion that's operated by this guy named Chasen Rance, who's never made it into the WWE, or maybe he has appeared in WWE broadcast before as a an unknown that, you know, loses the match. But I'm not sure about that. I know that his wife has and has appeared in several things now. Her name is Santana Garrett, and I met both of them at his promotion. And it was co-run by Larry Zbyszko, who was called the Living Legend, Larry Zbyszko, back in WCW, right in the years, or in about 8-9 years before it all ended. He was still relevant, even though it was the twilight of his career. But he had been a great world champion in the 70s, in that abyss of unknown things that happened, you know, because before my time and stuff. But I know that the 70s was legendary for wrestling. I didn't personally experience it. But apparently Larry Zbyszko was a big shot in the AWA, which was part of the Minnesota region of pro wrestling and shit, before Vince McMahon and the WWF, WWE literally bought all of the companies in the entire continental, you know, North America and shit. And some in South America, Central America, I think even really. And then yeah. And Larry Zbyszko was great over there, and he helped co-run this thing, this local company. And this local company would feed several people into WWE, and they have continued to do so now. Shit. All right. So, and one night they had X-Pac and Razor Ramon. If any of y'all know who the fuck those guys are, Razor fucking Ramon, you know. And Sean Waltman, X-Pac, Six Pack was his name also. You know, X, I don't know. Lightning Kid was his name at one point too. And they came through and wrestled at this independent thing in my town. And they're infamously wasted on drugs. So I met them. I think I even took a picture with them. But it's like in a basketball gym, and there's about 70 people there, max 70 people, more like 50 people. And they met them. They were cool. They were just hanging out, and they're like, "So what's going on, man?" They actually, like, I think fucking Razor Ramon actually walked, or turned towards me and said, "Hey, how's it going?" and stuff. Because they were there for a couple weeks, or for a couple of their events, not weeks, but every couple weeks they had them, but every couple events, and then, you know, they were just meeting people, hanging out, and some nights they were wrestling, some nights they weren't. Um, Met Larry Zbyszko, hung out, sat next to him, watched the whole show. While people sat, all the families and everybody was sitting over there, I sat back at this merchandise table, and Larry Zbyszko was just basically sitting right next to me. And every once in a while, he'd fucking make conversation. This was fucking great, you know? But, you know, it's just that I have such respect for these people that did this cool thing before. Because how fucking fun would that be, you know? Yeah, I'll admit it. I'm a little stooge. And in a perfect world, I'd rather be involved in pro wrestling than even be, you know, some kind of like famous musician, famous rock star, or anything like that. I'd rather be involved. I'd rather be like a manager for a fucking tag team or something like that. But that's something that will never, ever, ever happen, you know. Even though I've been watching this shit basically my entire life. Thing is, the beauty of it is that I never watched the Attitude Era, because that was a time in my life when I just was over it, you know. It was like when you were a kid, you watched the wrestling, and it became a big deal. All my friends were into it. We're all into it, like big time. Growing up, shit, everybody knew everything. We would go to all the shows. Anytime WWF came to our town, one of our uncles would take us to every single fucking dark show and everything, and we'd sit on the floor seats. We'd run down there. There was one time when it was Hulk Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter against Ric Flair and, you know, or Ric Flair and Ted DiBiase, or Ted DiBiase and Andre the Giant, some shit like that, or something. Some kind of tag team match, Iron Sheik. And fucking, I ran down. I was like fucking 8, 9, 10, something, 12 maybe, somewhere in there. And Hogan's just like busting through the crowd. And he kneels down right in front of me. And I almost fell over. I had to put my hand on top of his head. Or that's how it ended up, because he was busting through the crowd. And the top of his head felt like it was covered in slimy sand. Like sandpaper covered with slime. It was a very strange, fucking unhuman experience. Hulk Hogan's top of his head. It felt like he had been dipped in the beach. His head had been dipped on the beach. But yeah, okay, so anyways. This is fun. This is something I always wanted to fucking do, because I frankly just don't give a fuck. You know, live stream for Validation Boy might be coming to an end. It might be end of an era for this thing. Not tonight, though. Okay, so then I met Bubba Ray Dudley. I was at some kind of a bar. And then friends I knew who were involved for some reason on this night with a local radio station were doing some kind of contest, event, thing, something. And I didn't have shit to do. Big time fucking loser. Whatever. Went there. Bubba Ray Dudley was part of it. But he wasn't, well, he was just part of it. And where I was sitting in the back, chilling by myself. He's sitting back there too all of a sudden. And he was pretty much a dickhead. He said, "Hey, man, you do good work, man. Honor to meet you." Stuck my hand out just like that. And he just gave me the fist bump and a grunt and shit. And I was like, "Oh man, not even necessary." And then like I'm sitting over like 10 feet away. I had to kind of lean over to even say all this. It's not like I'm gonna now come over and stand all up in your business, try to talk to you or something. It's obviously not the vibe I was given. But the dude was a fucking prick. So then when WWE fired him and he went to TNA Wrestling, which is it's the B-list knockoff of WWE. It's the second biggest promotion out there, but it's still no bigger than any of the other independents. It's just that it's really, really, really well funded by some spoiled rich daddy, and basically, and they just throw huge money at former WWE superstars that lose their contracts or end their contracts or try to retire. They offer them fuckloads of money just so they can have them wrestle in their little stupid company. And they usually book them horribly, and it's like a weird thing. It's TNA. It's like the B list and shit. And but it also happens to be based in my fucking city also, and it has been for several years. And it's an offshoot of the old WCW, the remnants of the old NWA, WCW, whatever. And that's the reason why WWE even put their developmental center in this town, is because that's where the second biggest thing is. And now the product that WWE has as its second rate training, low level thing that they call NXT, it's basically TNA wrestling, but 10 times better than TNA. It's basically the same exact thing, the same exact, if not better, well, not even better, but just more gratifying for a hardcore fan of the new style that the new generation of wrestlers are employing more and more. It's very indulgent, very, very indulgent, the whole environment. Because see, I'm a fan of just like the ropes, the ring post, the mat, the fucking drapes on the side of the mat, the fucking entrance ramp, the fucking concrete floor on the side with the pads on it. Sometimes they peel the pads back and they DDT each other on the fucking concrete floor and shit. You gotta love it, I just love all that shit. I love the cleanliness and the setup and the fucking rigidity of it all, man. And the fucking form, the perfection of the form and the symmetry of the whole thing. It's just such a fucking thing of beauty. And then you take two insanely fucking, insane athletes who are all gimmicked out, and put them out there, have them physically abuse the shit out of each other to where it's leaving, you can see the violence. Even if it's arranged or fixed or fake or whatever you want to call it, you could see the violence unfolding in front of you, especially in the new generation style. These guys really hit each other really, really fucking hard right in the face constantly. And it's just that these guys are tough and they take it, and it's all for the fans. You know, it's to leave a legacy for this art. But anyways, that's why they have that there. So with TNA being around, you know, Bubba Ray, the prick from the fucking bar, he ends up going and work there, right? At TNA. And he brings his basically his lifelong tag team partner, Devon Dudley. And they're the Dudley brothers, the Dudley boys. And they have their little run in TNA. And at the time, it's free to go watch TNA because it's right in a Universal Studios backlot. You just drive your car up to the Universal Studios and you walk into this thing. You walk for a long ass time. And then you walk to this labeled backlot area where it's literally just doors with numbers on them for a long ass time, loading docks, and you go in behind one, and all of a sudden you go in and there's this massive pro wrestling show going on with all these people and all these lights, and everyone's cheering, and there's a blasting PA system and a ring and fucking top-notch athletes performing at the fucking highest level and shit. It's like a damn movie scene. It looks like No Holds Barred and shit, if you ever seen that. And so we go there, me and my buddy, and you know, he knew what a fucking prick Bubba was. So I said, I know, I got an idea. Let's start our own chant because everybody was starting their own crazy chants. So Bubba and Devon are in their match, and they come out for their entrance, and they get up on the ropes, and they're doing their little posturing. And I started chanting, Bubba's mediocre. Bubba's mediocre. And me and my friend did it, and then we got about 10, 15 other motherfucking dudes to say it with us, and it was fucking classic. And these guys were supposed to be coming out to some hero's welcome. The Dudley boys are supposed to be coming out to some hero's welcome. And you know, this studio only sat 150 people, and we're on the floor right next to the fucking ring, and they hear us loud and clear because this room is only the size of not even the size of I don't even know, you know, not very big at all. 150 people, little sound studio in the back lot with tiered seating or bleachers, really just bleachers, concrete bleachers. And so we chanted Bubba's mediocre, and it fucked him up. It fucked him up because he had to like acknowledge us. He got all fucking pissed off, and then when he's on the way back down the ramp, he said some shit to us. I don't remember what it was, but we just laughed in his face, and we're like, "Fuck you, dude." I was like, "Fuck you, dude." And I think he did remember me too, because it was only like 2 years prior that I had met him. Oh man. Okay. Santana Garrett chasing rants. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So that company also, after Larry Zbyszko started fading away from working with them as much, he was able to get Daniel Bryan in there, who I never met, I don't think. And then he was also able to get oh shit, yeah, I met Tully Blanchard's fucking daughter too. Okay. He was able to get this guy named Roderick Strong, who's now in the NXT, you know, in the developmental, even though he's a veteran in the twilight of his career, basically. Well, not the twilight. No, he's got many, many years to go. But he could have been a star in WWE 8 years ago. He could have been a top guy 8 years ago. But instead, he worked the independent circuit and was a top guy in the independent circuit for well over like a decade now. And I had seen him in this place TNA in 2005. They were bringing in wrestlers that were from the indies and from Ring of Honor, which is a true indie, the biggest true indie, you know, because TNA is not really indie. It's funded heavily and it's corporatized, shareholders and all that stuff. It's a big company. It's just that it has a very small drawing compared to WWE because it sucks basically. And so they at this time though, they got this guy Austin Aries in there, and Austin Aries' independent circuit rival at the time, which made 100% perfect sense, was this guy named Roderick Strong. These two guys are off the charts talent, off the charts talent. They innovated the game. They are the ones that created a lot of the nuances in the style that we see coming out of the entire independent scene. And they're basically considered icons and granddaddies and most famous for these genres. Okay. Picture some eclectic band that's not signed on a huge label, but everybody knows, you know, like Operation Ivy or maybe Dead Kennedys, something like that. I don't know if Dead Kennedys are sold out and went on to some big corporate. They probably did, but bands that aren't pop music, bands that aren't official radio rock, but still badass bands that you know about. This style, these wrestlers can be equated to that. These are like genres that are out there. I don't know how to explain it. I'm blabbing about that at this point. But yeah, these guys are icons. Those two particular guys, and Austin Aries did show up in WWE and did work for a while. Had a match at WrestleMania in the pre-show, and I think defended some championship. And never met him though. Big deal though. But I met Roderick Strong, and when I met Roderick Strong, it was after a show where he had main evented the show run by Chase and Rance. He had main evented a match against Chase and Rance. And it was, 18 or 20 minutes of pure, unadulterated, 100% nonstop aerial assault, super kicks straight to the face, elbow smashing straight to the face over and over, monkey flips, huge backbreakers, huge suplexes, huge slams, huge spike slams, throwing each other out of the fucking ring onto the basketball court floor, and then jumping over the top rope, doing double aerial fucking spins and crashing headfirst into them, spearing them right in the fucking neck after doing a fucking 450 over the rope onto a fucking basketball court floor where there's people sitting there, and sometimes you smash into the people. Okay. Epic, nonstop. Both their chests burnt red because of the Ric Flair back chop to the chest, each of which delivered 20 apiece to each other. Massive ones. And right in front of all of us, right in front of the fortunate 70 or 80 people that got to see it that night. Fucking badass. Okay. True dedication to a craft and a trade. I don't know how many, couple $100, maybe if that. Did maybe the show even make 1,000, 2,000? How much money? Who knows? But that's dedication. And so Roderick Strong, I think won the match. I think he won the match because he was the guest and he was already like an independent fucking circuit legend. And he had appeared here and there before, but if anytime you got any kind of DVDs for the indie circuit, he was always one of the top people. And it turns out that he was from Tampa, but he had toured Japan, Mexico, legendary status. Okay. And he's at this tiny independent show. And after the match, he's chilling there. Everybody meets him. Everybody walks away. I walk up. I said, "Hey, man, I just got to tell you, man, I saw you in Austin Aries in a match in 05. I think when I met him, it might have been 2008, 2010. But I said, I saw you guys in 2005 on that TNA rivalry that you guys had over in TNA. Fucking amazing, man. I really appreciate your, this, that, and the other, and I'm not a fanboy like that. But I had to tell him, man, I truly appreciate, man, what you do. I truly, because as an artist myself, I understand the level of dedication that you put, man. And you truly deserve everything that you get, brother. I hope that you end up in like a Hall of Fame and shit. I was telling him shit like that. And he was just the coolest motherfucking dude, man. Coolest down to earth motherfucker you ever fucking seen and shit. Okay, so anyways, Matt Roderick Strong. All right. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, then working at my current job, I fucking met an Australian female wrestler who's in the developmental league named Billy Kay. Took a picture with her. Met Dana Brooke, another female wrestler from the developmental, who drove past and I recognized her even though she was trying to play it down. And I screamed out her stage, name that she goes by. I don't know what her real name is. So I said, Dana. And she stopped and she's like, got out and was like waving and stuff. And and she ended up coming back. It's like, what's up, guys? Or whatever. And I was like, "Oh, I'm a big fan. You do great work." And she's like, I was like, "Can I take a picture or whatever?" She said, "You want to take a picture?" I was like, "Oh, cool." And she was not. She was like really chilling, like she had from been shopping or gym or something, and was like, "Oh, I look horrible" and stuff, and which I just didn't say nothing, and fucking. And she took the picture. I was like, "Very cool to meet you. Honored to meet you." I don't even try to shake their hands or nothing and shit, and just very, very fucking cool and nice. And then actually, but the Billy Kay was actually a total fucking bitch. Actually, I think I don't know, maybe not. And then there was a time I delivered to this fucking place where people do cosmetics and shit, and they do hair, like specialty hair, and there's like all these weird cosmetics shops that are consolidated under this one roof or this one collective building, and they make these people rent out spaces or something. And I pull up to drop some food off to one of these mini slots inside this place, and out front is a female wrestler named Ruby Riott, and she's distinct because she has like lots of tattoos, and a distinct haircut where part of her head is shaved, and it, I'm walk right. I'm 5 feet away from her. Oh, hey, I was like, "Ruby," and she goes, "Hey, what's up?" And she was very, very nice and cordial. And I promised her I wouldn't tell. Well, fuck it. Yeah, she was smoking a cigarette, and she goes, "Please don't ever tell anybody." Oh, exposed. I said, "Okay, I won't." And yeah, and that was that. Took a picture. She also took a picture. And then there was Sami Zayn, also known as El Generico, and I met him walking into a fucking Wawa gas station. I was just walking in to go pay for some gas and get a drink or something, and he walks up right next to me. He's walking in, no big deal, and I said, "Sami Zayn, wow, nice to meet you, man. Good, you do great work, bro." He's Canadian, and he's like, "Oh, wow, thank you so much." I said, "Hey, it's been great to meet you." I didn't even bother him, shook hands, um, totally parted ways, you know. Basically, I like to tell them, what if they all do great work. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on TV. I wouldn't know about them, and I let them know. But I also do it without, because pro wrestling really is one of my favorite fucking things ever. It really is. It's something I just always fucking loved so much. Always. Except for this time when they called it the Attitude Era. I really literally didn't watch the Attitude era specifically. I just didn't watch it because it sucked. And it was all about this weird, sexploitation and all this creepy shit. And there was like lots of gay shit, lots of man butt jokes and stuff like that. And because Jackass was around at the time too, I think, or culture was shifting in that direction where man butt things were starting to be quote funny and shit. But anyways, so I didn't watch that shit. And then yeah, I didn't watch that. But so what these guys but after that, everything that these guys these days are doing, and since really '02, really '02. And '02 to '05 was the golden era. It really was for modern professional wrestling. Nothing's ever gonna be better than the WWE from 2002 to 2006. That's about the apex of pro wrestling right there in the history. Nothing's ever going to really be truly better than that. When you want to look at classical, traditionalist pro wrestling, shit, nothing's ever really going to get better. But anyways, so then I happened to meet. Okay, another time I was delivering to this fucking fancy pants place where it's like a hotel, but people live there. It's like a condo resort deal, and it's at the I'm not gonna say where it's at, but it's like a big shot thing in a big shot area where people live, where I deliver to. And I walk into this huge ass lobby, and there's a gymnasium there for the people that live there. Obviously, there's like a pool and a gym and a sauna and all that shit. I'm sure. And out of the door, right when I'm walking through, busts fucking Kevin Owens. a former world champion, recent world champion, and he's also Canadian. And he and this guy Sami Zayn are infinitely connected at the hip, you know, even in WWE, but in the independent circuit forever. They came in together. They're literally best friends and have grown up together. But Kevin Owens comes busting through the door, and he was just getting done working out in the gym. And I greeted him. I said, hey. And he was actually following me, and he actually had the key pass, and he actually opened the door for me the way I was headed. He goes, you got to get in here. I was like, yeah, yeah. And I was like, man, you know, I don't remember what I said. I think I said, because at the time, whatever storyline, whatever angle he was working, he was being humiliated like week after week, month after month. And it was stupid because WWE does that sometimes. They take someone who's hugely fucking popular, hugely popular in the indies, and they bring them in and they make them hugely popular here. But then after a while, they just debase them and humiliate them and undersell the level of importance of their character, which undercuts their career in the long term, or has the potential to undercut their career in the long term. But then again, it's the tyrant who thinks he's God. He's the wrestling God doing this to people. So it really doesn't matter. He just thinks people are expendable. So sometimes great legends can get buried under rocks and never seen again. But there was this time when Kevin Owens was being worked, you know, he was being devalued. And when I saw him, he was high in his spirits, you know, and he was a cool guy because this is all fake, you know. And he's getting paid lots of money. And I was like, hey man, you know, you're highly appreciated, brother. And I understand. I've known about where you came from and stuff, and I think I said you're a legend. You're already a legend because the dude is. He's already been a world champion. He's already had on his debut. Okay, yeah, he was in NXT, which is part of WWE, but it's their minor leagues now. To get into the top tier of being a pro wrestler in the world, it is to work for WWE and to be an active participant on the roster of their featured pay-per-views. And to be on a pay-per-view, you have to be someone who is on Raw or SmackDown. And his debut was not his physical debut was on a Raw or a SmackDown. He came out and talked or appeared or something. But maybe. But his in-ring action debut was at a pay-per-view. And keep in mind, he's this rookie darling who's really not a rookie at all, who's been dominating the independent circuit, which the owner of WWE takes very, very seriously. And that's why he's buying them all up. He's constantly buying them all up. He's trying to destroy even the independent circuit now by having NXT. And he's kind of succeeding. Damn it, what was I trying to tell you guys? Oh, yeah. So this guy, Kevin Owens, this is how he debuts. It's an in-ring pay-per-view fucking debut against John Cena. Okay, John Cena, at this point in his career, when he faces Kevin Owens, has, I mean, out of the thousands and thousands of matches that he's had, or let's just say thousands of matches that he's had, out of the thousands of fucking matches that John Cena has had up at this point of his career, he probably had under 10 times that he was defeated fair and, you know, quote, fair and square, you know, or clean. Maybe even less than 5 times had he been defeated clean. He's basically untouchable at this point, at the point that they face each other. Well, he was starting to fade away. He was starting to do, you know, the dirty work and get pinned by other wrestlers and what they call them, putting the other guy over, you know, making the other guy be believed to be better by the fans now because you were defeated by them. or whatever, because he defeated that guy. So, anyways, John Cena, who never loses. It's very fucking rare that he loses, and if he ever does lose, 95% of the fucking time, it's because someone cheats. So people don't really think it counts because it's like, oh, he got screwed so bad, it was like a cheat. The referee got fucking hit in the eyeball, and then something else happened, and then the other guy, or then the girl fucking kicked him in the nuts or something, and then the other guy fell over, and 1, 2, 3. Whatever. That shit doesn't count, you know? So it's like a really fucking big deal when you can beat John Cena clean. And that's how this motherfucker Kevin Owens debuted in the biggest wrestling company on earth at a pay-per-view, which is their top tier level, and defeated him clean. It was pretty huge. So that was how they made everybody really fall in love with this guy, Kevin Owens. Since then, he's been kind of mistreated. Not really so much, a little bit less lately. And there's news that he signed a contract that will leave him finishing his career with WWE, which means probably like a 30-year contract or a 25-year contract. Okay, so then I delivered to Big Cass. I delivered to his apartment. I delivered food to his fucking apartment. And the motherfucker answered the door essentially in his fucking underpants, in his fucking underwear and shit. And when he opened the door, the place smelled like a fucking dead body was inside of it. It smelled like a carcass in there. And it was probably because he had all his, suitcases and dirty clothes and stuff from being on road tours. And he was just quickly back in town. Because I think the night before they had been in Michigan or some shit. I don't even know. And then I delivered to some random apartment I didn't know. And fucking Big Cass answers and shit. And it's this big old stack of food, And I'm like, oh, hey. And I pretended like I didn't even know who he was. And I was like, oh, I just need this one signed. Oh, thanks, man. And he looked at me all like, I think you know who I am, and you're not saying it. I think that's the vibe. But this dude is like 7 foot. This dude is fucking 7'1" or something. Massive, titanic dude. You had to look up and shit. And he, busts out and shit. That was funny. I delivered to him. And then I was in another state on a vacation or holiday or something. And after the show, I went to a Raw out in some other state. And after the show, I was at the restaurant and I saw Gail Kim, female wrestler, and I saw Victoria and this guy named Rico who was with them. And they were in the restaurant that we were at. They came in. And on the way in, saw Gail Kim walk by and said, oh, pointed and waved. And she was really nice and waved. And then we were in there and they were just the life of the party. And everyone was coming over and saying hi to them. And so I walked over and I just met them real quick. I said, hey, whatever. Great show tonight. That was awesome. And they're like, thanks, And I didn't even get near them, but they were just really nice. And they were sitting there getting drunk and shit. It was like a TGI Fridays or something like that. And then, people started coming around and shit. And I was like, well, I'm not going to be part of all that bullshit. So I just kind of it was before everybody really had caught on to what was going on, I think. And I just kind of said my piece and bounced and shook hands with Rico. And so then at TNA, I also met this guy, R-Truth, that Ron the Truth Killings. And he's now a lifelong WWE contracted fucking wrestler. And I met him at the show. And he was the most down-to-earth fucking guy ever. He was hilarious in person. And what they would do is after the show would end, they would come around and sign anyone. They would sign anybody's shit. And there would be about good 50 people that would hang around after the show. And they would turn all the lights up so everyone could see. And then a couple of the wrestlers would just come around, hang around. And then sometimes their own friends and families were just part of the people there. Because TNA was almost kind of a strangely local thing. because my town is like a central hub of pro wrestling. It's like kind of the world capital of pro wrestling, strangely. And I just happen to be a huge fan. But so then at another big time Raw or SmackDown that came through, like they always do, I met me and my buddy. We met Trish Stratus and Mickey James as we were walking around in the arena. And then I was ringside a couple times, or close to ringside, and I met Tony Chimmel, the legendary ring announcer. Fucking rules. And we were chanting his name, and he was like with us and shit, like it was cool as fuck. Tony Chimmel, he's a fucking true master and a true legend. He's been around in the fucking business for a long time, and he's like a vital piece of the equipment, But also shook hands with the truly greatest. Now, this is statistically, numerically, athletically, greatest of all times. I don't think this is really disputable. Like any logical fan of professional wrestling can't really dispute the fact that Mike Chioda is the greatest referee of all times, hands down. He's been there in the main event of many of the most important historical matches in history, and is the greatest and most. He is the true master. He is the true epitome of what it means to be a referee for pro wrestling, and all referees try to emulate his style. He's the Hulk Hogan of referees. Anyways, and then I met Brian Hebner, the son of Earl Hebner. Okay. And then I met Mojo Rawley and he told me his story while he was eating a sandwich. I walked up to him and he was cool as fuck. And he was like, "You can sit down with me, dude. I don't care. What's up? Have a seat, brother. I hope you don't mind if I'm eating." And I was like, "Nah." And he was like, "Well, yeah." And he told me his little story about his football career and all this shit, because he was like a total newcomer. I just knew who he was. And he was surprised that I even knew who he was. And the same with Norman Smiley. He was doing the same thing. And he was like with some of their handler, some of their weird promoter dude that I've seen around in the local scene. And after I said all my nice stuff to Norman, he couldn't believe it. And he's like, well, he was just smiles, up and down smiles. He's an old guy. And then he sat down with the guy, and the guy said, "He recognized you?" And Norman was like, "Yeah." Like, it was crazy. I recognized him. Because this is like an obscure wrestler that was in a company that ended 15 years prior. And in that company, he wasn't even really involved all that much in the end of it. And his prime was 20, 25 years ago. And even then, he was at the bottom of the show. So he's like, how the fuck does this white boy in 2015 or whatever the fuck it was know all about who the fuck I am? That's probably what he was thinking. Like, how the fuck do you know about me? I'm a fucking wrestling fan, bro. I seen you, bro. I grew up watching you. I told him that. I said, I grew up watching you. You're a fucking legend to me, brother. You do excellent. You've always done some of the most excellent work in that entire business, man. Let me just say, hats off to you. And he's like, man, no, people don't usually speak that nicely to us, brother. And I was like, it's the truth, man. I got a lot of respect, bro. I got a lot of fucking respect. And it was cool as fuck. And he shook my hand. It was just great. Just fucking fantastic and shit. So, okay. I met in the independent thing, and he now has become part of the developmental. Lindsay Dorado. He's just a local dude from my town, badass dude, highly athletic ninja, basically. But he wrestles in the luchador style, which is Mexican, but I don't think he's Mexican. I think he's Puerto Rican, but he wrestles in the Mexican lucha style, which is with the mask and all that stuff. And then another one, I was walking into a fucking Target just a month or two ago. I was walking into a Target, and this independent circuit darling, who's now in the developmental and is at the top of the show of the developmental for WWE, and will soon be in the big leagues, named Adam Cole. He's like a big shot right now in the company. And I was walking in, and him and his girlfriend or something popped out from behind a pillar, and they were casually walking in too. And I looked at it, and I realized who it was. And I said, "Hey, what's going on, bro?" And he's like, "Not much." And I was like, "Cool. Nice to meet you." And he said, something, I don't remember. And then I backed off and let him go on his little merry way. And then did my biddings. I think I was trying to get headphones or a power cable or something like that. I don't remember what it was. or maybe I was trying to get some fucking Red Bull, maybe all of it. And then when I was leaving, I looked back, and then him and his friend or whatever were at the checkout, and people were swarming them. But yeah, so there was the Hogan thing. I saw Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair in a dark show in Orlando, in the old building that's now torn down, the Orlando Arena, which became the TD Waterhouse Center, I think. I don't know. Back in history in 2004, the first time in history of the WWE, at least, at least on television, that anyone, or in history of their entire company, okay, the first time that this specific thing ever happened. And yeah, there's a lot of little firsts, but this is the be all end all, the true showstopper. Okay. And the first time it ever happened in the history of the WWE, I was at the show live, and I had a sweet fucking seat. I was at the very front of where the floor ends, and I was the first row in the front corner towards the ring of where the lower bowl starts. So I had basically the perfect seat. And what happened? It was the first time in history, and it was the Big Show, who's 500 pounds, and Brock Lesnar, who was about 400 pounds, I think. They did a superplex off the top rope, where they both basically crash into the middle of the ring, and the fucking ring literally fucking exploded and collapsed. The ring was destroyed. Like, it's never happened before under their weight. It was such a huge move when they both landed on it at the same time that the ring goes and fucking exploded and busted out the sides and shit. Later on, they did it again, and the exact same thing happened again, as we knew it was rigged. But still, I was there the first time it happened, and it was so savage. It was so fucking insane. So once in a lifetime, never been seen before. And this was just an episode of SmackDown, which has always been the best show in pro wrestling history. And it wasn't even a pay-per-view. It was just SmackDown. And the ring fucking exploded, and I was there. And it was the loudest thing I've ever experienced. I've been part of hundreds of concerts, but yeah, and I've been to many huge concerts, many huge wrestling events, many huge football games, baseball games. I've been to all that shit. I've never seen a more intense pop happen from a crowd in my life. Everybody in that building basically fucking shit their pants and was screaming at the top of their fucking lungs, losing their minds, on the brink of passing out. I'm talking like Beatles level, 1962 Beatles level fucking freak out. Okay. These are people that love wrestling. And this was a low time in wrestling. Not a low time, but it was a time when only the most dedicated fans were really watching. So the arena was full of what they would call smarks, or the smart people who know about wrestling's in and outs and all that bullshit. And even those jaded fans of that era, even though it was the golden era, even those jaded fans of that era saw that happen in front of their faces. And even them, everybody in that fucking building was out of their fucking minds for a minute and a half. I mean, people were screaming to the heavens in disbelief. It was hilarious. It was something like I don't think I'll ever experience something like that ever for the rest of my life again. But anyways, I was there at that fucking time. Okay. Anyways, and then there was the time when I had a pathway slot for a dark show. And keep in mind, these dark shows are butt cheap, or they were back then, and they weren't on TV. But it was the WWE wrestlers. But it was like shit that didn't matter. They would just have random matches that didn't matter at all. But they were there, and they put on a long ass show for you, and it was just in the dark. basically with a spotlight on the ring. And it was like an independent show because WWE still has to make all their money, still has all them wrestlers still need to work. The TV revenue does bring them lots of money, but they still have to do more work. And plus, since they're traveling, why just sit out and be idle when you could just be making money and working, and then be nice and tired and keep yourself out of trouble? Because as a pro wrestler, these guys probably get in trouble a lot. So, anyways, plus they're promised greatness, they're promised work. They got to get experience. They have to look better when they're on TV on Raw and SmackDown. So why not keep them busy all the time? Keep them so they don't develop what they call ring rust, right? And then so there was this time I sat there, and then Rey Mysterio walked by, and the dude was like a foot and a half shorter than me. I swear to God. Okay. And then Eddie Guerrero walked by, and he was like a foot shorter than me. But both of them, their backs were almost 2 of my body width. Yet they were like a foot shorter than me. And their backs had really horrible fucking back knee because they were both on steroids. But that's how they got so huge, even though they were such really small dudes. And then also in that same show, Big Show, that same 500-pound giant that made the ring explode, he walked past, and I was on the concrete floor of the old Orlando Arena, and I was right there on the rail, and he walked right by, and he was high-fiving people, and you could feel the concrete floor. You could feel the pressure shifting, and you could hear dum, dum, as he stepped. I'm telling you, this guy's like a human fucking rhinoceros and shit. Okay, and then there was the time where me and my buddy were at a show, and he had this huge crush on the female ring announcer, Lillian Garcia, and he would always talk about her when we were watching and stuff. And then we went down there, and then our friend had given us these great fucking ringside seats during an episode of Raw, and she was the announcer for Raw. And Tony Chimel, the other guy, the announcer, he was the announcer for SmackDown at this time. And so Lillian was there, and so my buddy was just all trying to get her attention and all this shit, and he finally did, and she was really fucking super cool about it. And then he's like, "Come on, take a picture." So I had to hold his phone and take a picture of him and her that was in his phone. And it was like the greatest thing ever. And also he fucking loved Jerry Lawler, and Jerry Lawler came over and signed some shit for him. Signed something for him. I think maybe his brand new fucking hat that he had or something. And so it was it was a dream come true for my friend that night. It was awesome. And then fucking oh yeah. And then in TNA also, there was a time when this guy Christian from the WWE and this guy Rhino from the WWE had both come over there after their careers had kind of faded away in WWE for the most part at this time. And they had a street fight match, and I was at this show. It was one of these free shows, and they just came busting through the crowd, man, and they were just all up in my business, me and my whole group of friends. And I brought like 4 or 5 people or something like that. And my one buddy was part of the group, and I guess because we were such great fans, Rhino and Christian decided that they were just going to basically take their street fight into me and my buddy's face, and had us where we were backed up, and the whole crowd was pushing us forward, and we had to hold the crowd back while these 2 motherfuckers were smashing themselves into each other and into me and my friend and shit. And it was the most disgustingest, slimiest, nastiest fucking thing ever and shit. But at the same time, it was hilarious because they were fucking us up, because we were cheering for them, because we loved Christian, Captain Charisma. He was fucking awesome and shit. Yeah, and then there was a time when his in wrestling, fake, his brother Edge, even though these 2 guys came up together, Christian and Edge, there was a time when Edge was fighting Matt Hardy, and he did the same thing to us again, and fought right through us, right over us, and smashed into us and shit. Punked us out. Maybe we were falling down and shit onto our chairs, getting smashed and tackled into and stuff. It was hilarious. I don't care. I think it's funny. But nothing compares to the Shawn Michaels incident. There was a guy sitting in front of me at a show, and the guy in front, and he was in row 1 and I was in row 2. The guy in front of me and his friend were taunting the shit out of Shawn Michaels at a dark show in a match between Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels, and John Cena in 2005. And they were really, really fucking with Shawn Michaels. And Shawn Michaels saved up a massive loogie for several minutes and then rolled out of the ring and just spit this huge loogie right in this fucking guy's face. It was the most disgusting fucking thing I've ever seen in my fucking life and shit. It's totally fucking nauseating, and I apologize for bringing the imagery to your mind. But that's what happened, and it was fucking brutal, but the guy deserved every fucking single second of it and shit. And then so, of course, the guy tries to swing on Shawn Michaels, who backs up and then fucking basically kicks the guy right in the fucking face, like dead kicks him right in the fucking face. And by buying a ticket to their event, you basically consent to getting punched in the face with zero repercussion. And they announce it. And they say, do not attempt to touch the wrestlers. If you attempt to touch these performers, we reserve all legal rights to defend ourselves and or pursue you. So they can basically kick you right in your fucking face, smash your skull against the fucking ground if they fucking see fit. Gotta eat that caffeine. But anyways, there was that incident. And then there was another time when I saw Becky Lynch and Eric Rowan and Luke Harper going into a smash burger. It was before they were even on TV, and I just barely knew who they were, and I recognized them by their crazy hair and shit. Crazy hair. And another thing, in 2005, I was at the PWI Match of the Year live, and I saw it live. And it was with two guys and a third guy who happened to be the main event of the upcoming SummerSlam pay-per-view. That's the next pay-per-view that's coming up right now currently. The World Championship match contains two guys, AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. And in 2005, those guys had a match in a three-way match, those two and Christopher Daniels, an independent circuit legend. Okay. They had a three-way match in TNA. Now, PWI is Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and it's basically the holy grail, the holy Bible of pro wrestling. And every year for decades now, they come out with the PWI 500, and they rank the top 500 pro wrestlers, including all WWE and all independents, and they even go worldwide now. They go Japan, all of it, South America, all of it, Germany, all of it, and England, all of it. And England has a huge scene right now. And they rank the top wrestlers, but they also in that same edition do match of the year. And that match can come from the independents, but it usually comes from WWE. And it's 95% of the time it's WrestleMania. 95% of the time of the times it's WrestleMania, it's the actual World Championship match. So more often than not, it's actually like whatever the main event of the year for WrestleMania is match of the year, typically. If not, then it's going to be like Undertaker versus somebody in a secondary main event at WrestleMania. That's not for a championship, but it's still like really the big match that everybody really, really wants to see because it's the biggest deal. So match of the year didn't go to WWE, didn't go to WrestleMania. It went to TNA, and a pay-per-view match that happened sometime in September, October, or November, in the dead time of pro wrestling of the year. It's like the blackout time when all kinds of like weird, strange things can happen in storylines and legacies and records can be made and stuff. Interesting stuff can happen. So they just had this thing culminate in this three-way match at this random, mid-level pay-per-view on this secondary level company. And it was AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and Christopher Daniels, and it was match of the year. And it's truly one of the greatest matches in the history of pro wrestling. And I saw that motherfucker live. I was there, and it was intense. And that crowd could not believe what we didn't even know what we did to deserve seeing this match, and we knew. And then when the match ended, the crowd was already literally chanting match of the year, match of the year, match of the year, all the way until the cameras stopped rolling. And the cameras kept rolling for a good 2-3 minutes, I think. And that was it. It was match of the year. You guys can go check that out. I'll put a link to it in this video. And I was there, and you can even see me. Shit, you can see me in the crowd. But yeah. So that's that. I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to tell you guys those fucking stories. Can you believe how many fucking pro wrestlers I've met? There might even be more that I'm forgetting. There might even be more. Shit. I think I might have even met the $1 Million Man once. Not sure. Tried to meet Ric Flair once, but he was a dickhead. Kept hanging around right outside this barricade where the fans were trying to chill. And other wrestlers would come up and talk to us, sign autographs. And I was never a person to have autographs. I didn't have nothing to sign. I didn't even want to take a picture with them. I just wanted to say hi to them and shake their hand. That's it. That's all I ever wanted with the pro wrestlers. I don't want to, hey, send me thing or take a picture with me. None of that. I just don't care. It's like if it's and sometimes the wrestlers, I actually pass them by and like I have a chance to talk to that wrestler and I've literally like I don't want to talk to them because I don't really care for them that much or whatever. But yeah, my fun life. You know, we'll see how things pan out. I'm gonna take the video down right now, edit out the black spot in the middle, and then I'll put it right back up. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you guys for watching. The truth has been revealed in so many ways tonight. Thank you, you guys, you loyal few. Thank you. All right, this has been Validation Boy live stream, August 2nd, 2018.